What's up, everybody? Big weekend, coming up this weekend here for a lot of motorsports. And, I consider that to be, a really good thing personally. I don't know about all of you. I'm excited about it. And I think there's going to be a lot of good, stuff to come from it. I mean, only time will tell, of course, but I think it's going to be really good. There's a lot of stuff to talk about for, this weekend before we get it going. Is there's a lot of racing in case, you know, no one notices or sees it. There's a lot of good stuff to come up. I'm excited about all of it, mostly just because, it's been a long time since we got to see cars on a track. Granted, I'm not talking trash about, Supercross or any of that, Formula E, any of that, because we all know I love those just as much. But it's a really big one coming up for, F1 to finally be on track. That's a really good thing, I think, for motorsports as a whole to have, you know, F1 back on the racetrack. And I think we're going to learn a lot here. We have from the first two practice sessions that have happened, and that is that Max Verstappen is still, really fast, and the Red Bulls are really fast. Like I did, said in my other stuff, I did the show on Wednesday, the bonus episode on F1 and everything that they have going, on with all the testing that they had, and Red Bull got faster, which, is scary to think they got over a second faster with how, much faster Max was than everybody. But, that's what happens when the time passes. But so far, we got to see first and third being Sergio Perez first, Max Verstappen second, and free practice one, which doesn't surprise me. What does surprise me is that Max was over 6/10 of a second off of Sergio's time, which I don't think. I think Max was just trying to figure some stuff out because it's Max Verstappen, who's really alarmed when Max is doing good. I am happy though about one big thing: Fernando Alonso up there in second. He's over 4/10 off, but to see him in second, because you got to think him and Alpine, like that was just a marriage that needed to end and as fast as humanly possible, because that just wasn't pretty. And you could tell he wasn't happy. They weren't happy with him. His teammate was getting, seemingly it looked like better equipment through all of it, which, probably would have pissed me off even worse. But to see him go in there and be, fast in testing and that fast in free practice one was a good thing. He needed it. And, it's the same thing with a lot of guys, seeing Nico back in the sport because, for Haas, because no offense to Mick Schumacher, I respect his dad and I respect him for being able to go out there and do it. Once he got points for the first time ever, it fell off. Like it completely fell off the wagon. And that sucked. I mean, it really did suck to see it happen. So they needed to make a change with that. And they did, and it's one of those things that really sucks when you think about it. You know, you don't want to see anyone, get canned or anything like that. But I think he has a good opportunity, with Mercedes being their reserve driver. I think that could do a lot of good things for him. We'll get him time and good equipment and, get him time to better all of his skills and heighten all of that, which is what he needed because it took him a while. And then Kevin Magnussen came in and just did better. And I hate to put it that way, but he did better. He was faster. There's no complaining. There's no way to get around that. I was surprised though to see in the first one to see Lewis and George, the Lewis Hamilton, his teammate George Russell from Mercedes back there in 10th and 11th and so far off. Granted, it was the first practice of the season. I'm sure people were trying a lot of things, to see how everything worked, but it was still really, weird to see them that far off. Carlos Sainz all the way down dead last for Ferrari. But again, that could be them trying things. You get free practice too, and the top three were much closer, which is what you'd expect again. They only have one more practice. I'm sure the first one, they're just trying things. The second one, they're like, all right, tomorrow's third one before qualifying. I think that'll be, much better. But again, it was good to see Fernando Alonso up top. I mean, you never would have thought losing someone like Sebastian Vettel, you'd be able to not have a big loss because of who he was and what he meant to the sport. But he was really, irreplaceable. But he got, replaced, Fernando Alonso came over pissed off. And I think that's really a dangerous thing for everybody. He was up over 10th over Max Verstappen. and Sergio Perez were second and third. And again, Carlos Sainz was still back at 14th on this one. So got to see what they're doing on all of that. But what is that? I mean, I was super stoked when Sebastian Vettel retired that Fernando Alonso could go over there because again, that divorce needed to happen between him and Alpine because those guys absolutely just were not getting along. It wasn't working at all, and he needed out of there. I think seeing Nico Hulkenberg in fifth in his return, I think that's really good. Again, that sucked to see it go, but for Mick, that's the way the cookie crumbles. And I do want to see how much better, obviously, Aston Martin can be with Fernando Alonso there because I think he's going to help bring something to the plate. And I want to see what McLaren's going to do. What's the second car going to do with Oscar Piastri? I know he's, young, rookie, all that. But getting rid of Daniel Ricciardo, and he's back at Red Bull as a reserve driver, which I think will be good for him, going back home. But I just don't like that they got rid of him. Daniel Ricciardo. I don't think he was the problem. He's the only one that got him a win in forever. I don't think he was the problem at all. We all know he wasn't the damn problem. He was not going to be the problem, but it's the way the cookie crumbled again. He got the short end of that, and they stuck with the younger guy, which, makes sense. But, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. Yeah, just to see qualifying and see where they're going to go. And then, of course, the Grand Prix on Sunday, which, by the way, great timing for all of the races on Sunday. If you're a racing fan, F1 in the morning, then you get followed up by the IndyCar, season opener in St. Pete, and then the NASCAR Cup Series. So you get a whole day of racing, and it should be good racing across the board. Maybe it's just because everyone's finally back, but I'm looking forward to that more than, a lot of things. And I think that's going to be, really killer, really killer, day. So be looking on that. And then again, we got Supercross coming up tomorrow. Ricky Carmichael put a killer track together for this one. He does it every year for Daytona. He did not disappoint. I'm really excited to see bikes on the track on that one. That should be outstanding. That should be really, really outstanding. And I want to see if Eli Tomac can continue it because he's had, 2 triple crowns go away off of, his own errors that cost him winning them. And he just owns Daytona. So what are they going to do there? I want to see what they're going to, can someone stop? Because Chase Sexton, Cooper Webb, they've been right there all season, and it's 5-point difference between the top 3. Like, that's really good in the 450s. I'm excited for it. They always put on one of the best races of the season at Daytona. So I want to see that. And again, 250 East is going there. Hunter Lawrence, obviously we know what he's capable of. It's only his second time there, first time since 2021, where he finished 6th. And he's been on fire so far this year, except for, getting caught up in so much stupid last week, but there's nothing you can do about that. That's just pure stupid. When stupid happens, you just kind of have to sit there and live with it, man. And I think it'll be a big improvement. Hopefully his brother's there because it's nice to hear, his brother knows how to run there. Proved that last year. And as the West is off, I'm sure he is there. Maybe we'll see him in the booth too. Who knows? With Bubba Stewart, because he'll be in the booth too. But that should be really good. And again, it's been a much better season so far. Like, everyone's right on top of each other, at least in the 250 East and West and the 450s. Like, they're all really close, which is really, really actually cool to see them all running, that good. I don't think it's going to last with everyone on top of each other. I sure hope it does. But, a minimum, someone always catches it and gets lightning in a bottle and goes. I hope that, they all just keep being right on top of each other the rest of the season, honestly. But it'd be really cool if they could pull it off. Again, good stuff. I don't know if you guys are Supercross fans. I don't know how people watch, Supercross, but gate drops tomorrow night on Peacock at 7. And Daytona International Speedway, beautiful, facility, beautiful track. And the coverage is always really spot on for them compared to like NASCAR and stuff. And if you're on Peacock, if you have Peacock and you don't want to watch it live, you can go on there on Sunday. Between all that, and you can fast forward through all the stuff they throw in there that isn't racing. So that should be a really good, thing for everybody. I'm really excited about, that race because that's going to start at, you go from there straight into the next morning, which, 7 o'clock will probably be over 9:10ish. Wake up for this, first race of the season for F1, 10, then again IndyCar, then NASCAR. It should be really, really stellar. Actually, I'm really looking forward to that little bit, and that's not taking away anything from NASCAR. I know I didn't mention them yet. I'm kind of curious as to if Kyle Busch is going to go out and sweep the weekend. He's the only person to ever fucking do it. It, it was at Bristol twice, but running all three of them, I think, this is a good test. A mile and a half, first one of the season. Obviously, he's going to be in the KBM truck now that they did the switch. That one doesn't surprise me. And he got outdueled by one of his guys last year, Chandler Smith. So we'll see what happens, this time around. The Bushes always had weird luck in Vegas, but you never know. And I think that Kyle's out to prove something this year. He doesn't have anything to prove. But look at all the people saying he took a step back or he's lost it or yada, yada, yada. People love to talk trash about him. But here he is, still going. And he got the win last weekend. Could have won Daytona. Like, I say, watch out. The truck race, though, is to prove something, to himself and to see where the trucks are. That's the big one. The Xfinity race that he's running on Saturday, which you're going to see before Supercross, like that one, I think that one's more of a revenge thing to come out of retirement. The Xfinity Series, after he won all those, driving for Colleague, which means it's going to be a good car there. And I'll help that team. I think it's a revenge tour to take a win away from Toyota and Gibbs. Really, that's what I honestly think it is, because I still don't understand how RCR, with how long it's been since they won a lot of races or a championship, managed to get, all these sponsors and everything. And they kept some that they have a Tyler, obviously, but they even got more. And Gibbs said they couldn't find him, anything, which I just, again, could be operating costs and all that are associated with them. We've seen many teams that get associated with Gibbs go bye-bye. And the numbers for Toyota is dwindling. But I think he's going to the Xfinity race just to stop them from winning. And I think he's going to stop them from winning. And, the junior motorsports guys are good, but so many of the guys that dominated aren't there anymore from last year. So it's kind of like when we lost Austin Cindric and Chase Briscoe. It's like, oh, well. And then Ty Gibbs and Noah took over for dominating, and now they're gone. And there's a lot of talent. I just don't know if there's any talent that could stop Kyle because, again, he's motivated. He's really motivated this year. He's really angry. And I think that could be very detrimental towards all of their well-being. Sucks to be them, but obviously, he came out and won already at California in the Cup Series. And, like Toyota, again, they just don't look right to me. They look, off. And especially in the Cup Series. Now, you could say Bubba was up front Daytona. Yes, he was. But a lot of people lead at Daytona. It's nothing against Bubba. It's just pointing out the very obvious. Lots of people lead there, the draft, play with the air. You could do all that. And, you can get up front. And he went around, and a lot of people went around the same exact way over Daytona, so no one can say anything stupid about that either. I've seen people try to say stupid about that. It's well beyond stupid to do that. But I think it's very, exciting times to be a NASCAR fan unless you're rooting for Toyota. They just don't look good. They haven't looked good. Bubba didn't look, nearly as good. And again, there's not a lot of them, but there weren't a lot of them that even looked or anywhere near competitive enough to win. Let's go and put it that way. Time will tell this time around. Time will really tell as we go with this. I just, I don't have a good feeling inside about it. And I think they're going to pick it up by the end of the year. I just think that, now all they have is pretty much Gibbs in 2311. And just think at the time that all the cars that they had, at one point, and now they're down to that. And, I do have better feelings about people like Martin Truex Jr. this year because, he's angry or figured out the car. He said he's angry this year. Last year was just an off year. There's a lot of the older guys, though, that had an off year with a new car. And I think he's got something to prove this year going in. I think this might be his last hurrah. And he's a winner. He's proven to be a winner. He's always proven to be a winner. No matter what they stuck him in, he always found a way to at least be good. And the Furniture Row, when he was driving, for the Earnhardts, when he was driving for Michael Waltrip, he's always found a way. And I think this year he's going to get a few. I really hope he gets a few. I think he should. Only time will tell again. And then we got, other people in there that I hope do, like Ryan Blaney. This is for all the guys on Twitter. If any of you actually see this after the long conversation we had, about his pit team, sorry, screwing him around, around a lot, and yeah, that has been a problem. I think regardless if that gets fixed, he just needs to step up. He really needs, and not in like a bad way. He needs, he's cool and laid back, and I'm not saying go out there and just dump people. Obviously, that's not going to get him anywhere. But I honestly think a little bit more aggressiveness, get people back. People stop doing it as much. It's always been proven throughout all of it. You know, just like wrestling, when you give people a receipt, okay, but they get the hint, and they stop. It's just one of those. It's been really rough, and I think he's going to get some wins this year. Again, he was way too consistent last year. Of all the guys that didn't win a race, he was, you know, the best, and he was better than some people that won races. Like with average finish, he was right up there. And I really do think that he's going to get some this year. I don't see how he couldn't get some, this year, even if it's just stealing one or two. We've seen people steal races, all of NASCAR. Got to take it where you can. And that's another big one, for it. He just has to step up the aggressiveness and, just not sit there and take it all the time. I know that's his personality, but how often can you sit there and do that and it works out? Which is very true. None of you can deny that. No one that watches this video makes it this far can deny he can't afford that stuff. So, got to see how that works out as well. I think he'll do better because Joey's looking good and they have the power. And RFK looks better this year. I mean, like the Fords are coming back around. I don't think how long it'll take for it to fully show up, but they've looked better. I mean, look at where RFK was at the beginning compared to last year. Now they're up there running good. I think it'll be a consistent thing. I think they've come around, and now I just think it's the downswing for Toyota. There's just too many Chevys and Fords. Like they can all get together. That it might not all work together necessarily, but they all function good. And there's just strength in numbers, and there's a lot of people working on it. There's a lot of people working on it in Toyota. There's just not as many people, try things and figure stuff out. And that makes it more difficult. Kind of like, when you look back at a time and it was really just Riley Herbst for Ford in the Xfinity series. I mean, it was not a lot. And I always said that was a big problem developmentally, And speaking of developmental, big loss for Toyota losing Kyle because then KBM went to Chevy. So that's the list they have there. And look how many people have gone through the truck series for him or driven for him that are now up in the Cup series. Like it's just one of those things. I don't know. I think that Toyota needs to figure something out. I don't know who they're going to get to go over there because it's just not looking good. Just my take on it, though. I could be completely wrong. I don't think I am, but it can be. So we'll see, though. Good weekend of racing, though. I mean, trucks tonight, Xfinity and Supercross tomorrow, F1, IndyCar, and the Cup Series Sunday night. Sunday into Sunday night, and whatever else happens to hit my DVR at the same time, because I got to see Arena Cross might be done, but I get to see the Arena Cross Outlaw stuff that still hits the DVR. I got to see Snowcross last weekend. Like there's a lot of good shit. If you set your DVR to auto racing and motorsports, whatever category it falls under, and you can have some pretty cool stuff. So, that's just my take on it. Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll try to do, more of these. So, bye-bye.